Welcome, everybody, to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. We're live on a Friday afternoon here, and I'm glad all of you who are watching could join us today. And we welcome all your questions and comments, and we'll get to as many of those as we can, time permitting. But without further ado, let me say hello to my distinguished guests that are on with me 3 times a week, Mr. Jesse Schule from Parts Unknown, the former heavyweight champion of the world. How are you, my friend?
I had a couple football winners last night, Ross, and still trying to get fully back on track. But I feel pretty good about this weekend coming up, and I'm on a diet, trying to improve my health, and things are moving in the right direction, I think.
All right, buddy. It's always good to hear, and that doesn't surprise me because any kind of rough stretch that you have, buyer beware, because he is going to come out of it and he is going to sting the sports books. Talking about stinging the sports books, Mr. Higgs has been absolutely on fire. How are you, my man?
Pretty good, yeah. Nice little run winners yesterday, the NFL and college, and I don't know. I was looking at the leaderboard before I came on. Number 1 in college football money, number 1 NFL, NBA. Having a nice run. We'll take it.
Excellent, buddy. Great job. And like I told people before, when he was treading water, watch out. I mean, there's a reason why I brought on the guys I brought on its channel. Not to put a star on my forehead, but I like to think after being in this business for 20 years, I know the guys that are proven winners, guys that operate with honesty and integrity. And we have not only myself, but 9 others that operate in that manner at gamblersworld.net. And by the way, folks, right now at gamblersworld.net, we got a football flash sale. And what that means, up until 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight, anytime you buy a single game package from any one of us, you're going to get a $10 credit to your account. So you could use that $10 any which way you like. So if you make a purchase with Sean on a $35 pick, you're going to get a $10 credit in addition to Sean's pick. In addition to having a guarantee, if the Sean does not cash, does not win on that pick, you will also get a credit for the exact amount of your purchase price. And you know what, folks? That's been pretty much a moot point of late. Jesse, what we saw last night, you guys both, Sean got down early on Tennessee, which was very astute on his part. And he got 4 points early in the week, and he got a push. You took Pittsburgh on the money line. Wasn't Pittsburgh on the money line yet? Yeah.
That's right.
I came out. Yeah, I was 2-1 yesterday, but one of my winners was not the football game. I had Tennessee plus the 3. They fell short, or 2.5. As a matter of fact, it was the only one I got at 2.5 was at gamblersworld.net. What could you say? I can tell you one thing. I walked away, win or loss. And I know we discussed this, guys, but this kid, Will Levis, has been, we were down on him as a number 1 draft choice and what the scouts saw in him, but he showed me an awful lot, even in that loss yesterday, Sean.
Yeah. And, and you look at it like, again, same thing with him with Richardson. You're like, how are you drafting this guy as a tail end first rounder or first rounder? Pete's in the house. There you go, Peter. All
right, Peter. I'm glad you could finally join us live, and thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
I don't know. Is it just the way they're calling plays from? Because the fact that he's like throwing the ball downfield, like you weren't getting that with Tannehill, you weren't getting that with Willis. I don't know. You see him in 2 games. I can't just jump in and say, wow, I was totally wrong about the guy, because it's 2 games. I need more than a 2-game sample. I need more than a year sample from someone.
Sure.
But if you're Tennessee, you got to be excited, right? It's not going to just be we're going to hand the ball off to Henry and maybe complete a pass somewhere to move the chains if we had to on a 3rd and 7. Is he the real deal? I don't know. Because what is Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh gets out yarded every game.
Yeah, but you know what, Sean? You could say that, okay, and you're 100% correct. And it was one of the things I mentioned in my analysis.
Exactly. That's why I kind of like Tennessee early. That's
what a fraud Pittsburgh was, right? Because they're 4-3 and they're getting outgained by over 100 yards a game. But I'm sure you would agree, and I'll hear your comment on this, is that Pittsburgh's defense is still elite.
Yeah, it's a pretty
And
good
that
defense.
kid, and Jesse mentioned it before the season even started, how bad Tennessee's offensive line was, and it reared his ugly head yesterday.
Yep.
He stood tall in the pocket under pressure and delivered some throws, especially off his back foot, with a lot of zip on him.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like the under there as well, because you had a rookie quarterback, short week, good defense, and both teams have decent defenses. Tennessee is a defensive first team,
Yeah.
and Pickett hasn't been all that since he's come into the league. So, and he's not healthy. I don't know. It's the quarterback play. Let's be honest with the NFL. This is not premier time of NFL quarterbacks. This isn't 2008 with Manning and Breeze and Rivers and Bledsoe and Roethlisberger and so on. And we could go down the line of great quarterbacks. We have like 5 good quarterbacks, and then it's, is this guy for real? Is he, we got 2 young guys here. I don't know what we have out of these 2 young guys. I mean, Pickett's got no help around him offensively. I mean, we're going to run the ball with Harris and on Tennessee side, Henry. We're going back to 80s and early 90s football. Like,
yeah, but you know what, Sean? Pickett never impressed me. I never felt that way about Pickett when I first watched him, when I continued to watch him, as I did about this kid. Now, I know, like you said, it's a small sample size, right? But by the same token, the poise he shows in the pocket, his ability to deliver the ball accurately, and even more so, Jesse, and I want to hear your take on this, is he just seems like an extremely intelligent quarterback with a high football IQ, because he was locating receivers very quickly, and he needed to last night because he was under duress all night long.
Well, Ross, you can always trust me to take it back to college. Yeah. And I think I mentioned this the other day. Bad look for the coaching staff at Kentucky, because we've seen Devin Leary have success at NC State. Now he goes to Kentucky. He's just horrible. Will Levis, sort of pretty average looking at Kentucky. We all said we didn't expect much from him because of what we saw at Kentucky. Comes into the NFL. All of a sudden, he's looking great. What's wrong? What are they doing with their quarterbacks at Kentucky that, ends up with them struggling to this degree? I will also touch on Pittsburgh and them being a fraud. I was very frustrated earlier in the season. I had some big losses betting against Pittsburgh. I had that one game with the Browns.
Yeah,
the Browns should have won that game. That was a big game for me. And I was all on board with their fraudulent theme, but I made the decision coming into last night's game, and I did get fortunate. I will admit that I got fortunate at the end there, but that you can't call it luck if they do it every week, and they just keep on doing it, and it just looks like they're a team that's designed to win those games in that manner. They've got the roster and the defense to do it.
Would you agree that, like what Sean touched upon and what I used in my analysis last night, when you're looking at a 4-3 team, they're now 5-3. Okay, would they win by 4 last night? It's not going to put a big dent in what I'm about to say, but going into last night, they were minus 4.3 point per game differential. They were minus, I think, 121 yards per game in total yard differential, somewhere in that area, being totally outgained, for lack of the exact statistic on that. But when I see stuff like that, and we're 7 games into the season, and I see a team with a winning record, you mentioned the Browns game. They scored 2 touchdowns on defense in that game to win 26-22. Otherwise, they got totally outplayed. So that's where I'm going with the fraudulent thing. And I don't know, Jesse, I got to respectfully disagree with you. Yeah, they're doing it week after week, like you said. I don't know if week after week is a 5-3 record, but having said that, they have a winning record, and my hat's off to them. And they're well coached, and their defense is as good as any in the league, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I'm not in love with Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just that it gives me a sick feeling in my stomach to think about betting against them with a rookie quarterback on the road. That's all I got to say.
Well, yeah, it was a good spot, I guess, to go against them, even though they needed to pull it out in the last 4 minutes. But
they lose at Houston. They beat Baltimore. They go on the road. Again, you win at the Rams, again, off a bye week. Yeah. Jacksonville gets it home. an ugly game last night. You had the ugly game versus Cleveland. I mean, this is just a. I mean, listen, I like Tomlin. As much as I
Yeah.
hate the Steelers, I like Tomlin. Good. I mean,
Oh, you gotta like Tomlin. You
he's
gotta
just-
like Tomlin. I mean,
they're
look,
just the team that that's their. This is how they play, and we're going to be 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever they are at the end of the year because this is what they are. This is the kind of team they've been the last couple of years.
If it's 8-9, Sean, we got a scoop because Tomlin in his first 16 years on the job in Pittsburgh as head coach has not had a losing season.
Yeah.
So, and this is exactly why when he has a so-so bunch like he has now, especially offensively, not on the defensive side of the ball, he's able to still find ways for his teams to win. Now, players got to do it on the field, but
they're home versus Green Bay. Green Bay's an ugly team. They should win that. At Cleveland, at Cincy, I'm assuming they should lose both of those. I mean, home versus Arizona should be a win. Home versus New England, I'd give them a win.
Yeah.
At the Colts, there's a toss-up there. The Colts is a toss-up. Home versus Cincy, I think Cincy should beat them. At Seattle and at Baltimore. So, to me, here they are. If they win at Indianapolis, they'll be 9-8. If they lose, they'll be 8-9.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess with Tomlin's track record, I would bet it's 9-8 rather than 8 or 9.
Really? Will I be shocked if they split against Cincinnati? No, that won't shock me.
I just don't see him beating Cincinnati because
I didn't see him beating Baltimore either, and they did.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see the difference between Cincinnati and Baltimore. I'm going to stay away from the quarterback topic because I'm going to get jumped all over and insinuations that aren't true. So I'm going to leave that alone.
But one quarterback has a better cast of characters around him too.
That's where I was going. If you let me talk, for crying out loud,
Chase and Mixon. I mean, and come on.
You know what? Christmas time comes, you're getting a muzzle from Christmas.
And I like. I'll tell you what. Here's a little. I think they're gonna win big this weekend. I like a big game from.
Yeah, I mean, again, what I was about to say, Sean, is when you compare Cincinnati to Baltimore, and you touched upon it just now. You look at Cincinnati's cast of characters at wide receiver compared to what Baltimore offers. Baltimore's got a better tight end. You know, Andrews is among the best in the league, if not the best in the league. Although you'll get arguments from with Travis Kelce and also with Kittle out in San Francisco, but one of the best tight ends in the league. But other than that, Cincinnati's wide receivers are a nightmare to game plan against. Baltimore doesn't scare me in the same way. Baltimore depends on Lamar Jackson to do things with his legs, to create on the run, make throws on the run, and their defense is pretty good, you know? So, but in terms of them beating Cincinnati, I'd be shocked if they split with them the way I'm seeing things right now. We're going to talk about the Cincinnati-Buffalo game. Jesse's going to be covering that. Go ahead, Jess.
You mentioned George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Mark Andrews. A trivia question for you guys. You know what those three tight ends have in common?
George Kittle, Mark Andrews.
Not one of them can bench press as much as this guy.
I got one guy with a big mouth and one guy with a big ego now. All right. Are the Steelers running backs good or Titans defense can't tackle?
Usually Titans.
Actually, the Titans defensive line is their strength. I mean, especially Simmons in the middle. But yeah, I mean, if you looked at last night, either the Steelers had a hell of a game plan or Tennessee was just out schemed. It wasn't so much they weren't tackling guys. It seemed like they were getting out schemed. Like they would beat them. They wouldn't. How do you set the edge? They weren't setting the edge very well, especially with that kid Warren. He was bouncing things outside and gaining a lot of yards. I don't know. What's your take, guys?
I question whether Najee Harris is a bona fide starter in the NFL. I consider him to be quite overrated. I don't like what I see from him. Very uninspiring. A team like Pittsburgh really needs a dominant running back, and to me, he's just not the guy.
Yeah, Steven Wilson, always a client, have been a client of mine for a while. Now he's jumped on board with Sean. He hasn't done so with Jesse yet. You know what, Steven? Here's what I'm going to do for you, okay? we're running a flash sale today. If you jump on board with Jesse today on a 3-day package, I'm going to give you a $10 credit just the way everybody else would to get a single game package. So jump on board with the $99 package. You'll get the guarantee with Jesse, and you'll also get an additional $10 courtesy of yours truly, Ross Benjamin. Hey, guys, glad to catch the show. Thoughts on JMU laying a small number? I really like JMU and have been riding their covering wave. They didn't cover last week, I don't believe, right, Sean?
No, they were 20-point faves last week. But that's, little. You covered 5 in a row before that, and then you have a little hiccup. I don't hate that. Maybe a little look at kind of spot here against, say, what are you laying, 5.5 here?
Yeah.
It's tough not to go against them. I mean, Madison they're a good club. They still can't win their conference, right? They're still on like probation.
Can't go to a bowl game yet, Sean.
What a joke.
Because they have only been in existence for 2 years at the FBS level, which I think is an absolute joke. You let a college football team play at the FBS level, you grant them FBS status, let them play in a bowl game if they have a good year. I could understand like a couple of these schools in the past few years, they go FBS, but they're still playing like 2-3 FCS teams on their non-conference schedule. That's not been the case with James Madison. Look at their schedule.
Listen though, why if they're going to win their conference, who cares if they have 2 or 3 small schools that they're still playing? If they beat everybody that they're supposed to play in conference play, how are they not in there?
All right, Mr. Pink, can you talk about it's not the Redskins.
It's always the Redskins, Ross.
You're not going to get me in trouble there. If Sean wants to get himself in trouble, it's not much of an effort for him to do that. So he'll call.
I don't know what the Redskins are doing. What are they doing? I mean,
they traded sweat and pain. To me, they're writing off getting rid of salary.
That's like Chase Young they got rid of too, right?
Huh?
Chase Young.
Yes,
that's
Chase
the big
Young
one.
went to the Niners.
Well. Yeah, I mean, at one time, the front four was all first-round draft choices.
A bunch of. You thought that team was a defense-first team. Rivera's out. He's they're gonna. Whoever comes in takes over is going to get rid of him. And again, you got to feel bad for Sam Howell because he's going to be out on the street. New guy's going to come in, want his own guy, right? Got to bring my own guy in here.
But and that guy there, I don't know.
And then Washington's going to win 3 games for the next 3 years.
Have you ever listened to any interviews with that new owner? He's a pretty sharp guy, and
he's not going to want to hitch his boat to Ron Rivera at 6 years old. See if
no, but he inherited him. I mean, the bottom line is, how do you get rid of them in your first year, going into your first year, I should say?
You want your guy in there.
It's not like they were horrible with him up until he made some of the most boneheaded decisions we've seen this year, and his team is vastly
come on, Ross. Every time somebody comes in, new owner come in, it's, hi, I want my guy in there. I need my guy.
Yeah,
right? Every coach, I need my quarterback, and then we're shocked that we have crappy quarterbacks on 20 teams in the NFL because everybody's got a new head coach every 2 years.
So my take is this, and Jesse, me and Sean have been dominating the airwaves, more so the guy on the bottom there. So we'll let you have some time. My take is this, Jesse. This new owner has said we've not got anywhere fast with the current cast of characters. There's a lot of money being spent on the defensive line. Let's get rid of some salary. Let's try to secure some draft choices. Let's try to build it from within, like most successful franchises do, and have to take one step backwards to go one step forward. Your take?
Yeah, I mean, I got no problem with the new ownership, but Rivera, I think his time has passed him as a head coach. I used to be a fan of Rivera in Carolina. But I think some of the things he's got going on, his style of coaching, I don't think it's effective anymore. I think he should either hang him up or move on. I think the guy's got no choice but to move on from Rivera, in my opinion. I think Sean's right about that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a whole new wave of young coaches coming in. If you're starting from scratch again, or you're trying to rebuild, or you're taking one step backwards to go one step forward, whatever the case may be, whatever way you want to term it, why do you keep hiring these retreads that have had 2 or 3 head coaching jobs elsewhere and have not been successful? I mean, Josh McDaniel, come on. I mean, Look what he did when he was with Denver. They got off to a 6-0 start the first year.
Did you guys hear what RG3 said about the Raiders?
No.
He suggested they hire Marshawn Lynch, and this is something that's getting promoted in the media, that the Raiders should name Marshawn Lynch their next head coach. And to me, that's just like throwing gasoline on the fire for a dumpster fire. You know?
I mean,
why is he pushing Marshawn Lynch? The guy doesn't talk to the press. How's he going to be a head coach?
Yeah. I mean, it's beyond a joke.
Love it, you know. But anyway, that's a joke. I mean, I can't believe RG3 is even serious with that. I'm sure he's not.
I mean, what is the angle to that? Tell me. There's got to be why.
Well, the angle is you've hired everybody else that doesn't make sense and hasn't been successful.
Oh, is that what it is?
Just hire Marshawn Lynch. That's how I take it.
Is that how he's doing it?
Yeah, I think he's being facetious.
No, it's more of the, and I know Ross probably doesn't want me to bring this up, but RG3 is heavy on the DEI angle, the lack of opportunities for certain head coaches. So that's why he's
bringing that up. What I don't like is if you have when you have an opinion against an African American player and somebody says you're racist. I mean, that's not right. Okay, look at 80% of the NFL is African American. We wouldn't be talking about the league if we couldn't talk about.
We just heaped a lot of praise on Mike Tomlin, and last time I checked, he's a little bit darker than me.
Yeah, no, come on, man. It's look, again, I'm not going to go into my personal life. I have a mixed niece. My brother married an African American woman who's absolutely gorgeous. If you want to accuse me of being prejudiced, there's a hell of a lot more prejudiced people out there than I'll ever be. Okay, so again, folks,
the point is you gotta hire head coaches based on their ability to win football games.
Exactly.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
And everything else is just window dressing. And when you start to cloud your mind with something other than that thought, that's how you end up with a bunch of
What I don't like is now when they force these teams to at least interview one African American head coach for a job, and that the guy they interview, they have no intent of hiring. That's a slap in the face to me. That's more racist than anything. Okay, because why are you wasting this guy's time?
Well, I mean, we just live in an era where there's so much money at stake to win games and succeed. That should be enough incentive that if you truly believe that a guy can win you games, it really shouldn't matter who he's, where he's from, what he does in his off time. I mean,
you know that anyway because they bring in guys who've been arrested and they still get second and third
murderers. There's a statue of Ray Lewis in the Baltimore Stadium. All sorts of stuff.
All right, what do you think of the Raiders situation, Peter? I think we covered that. JD Carmona, Sean, going with the U this week. 5.5 point road favorite against NC State.
I don't have them in any of my games this weekend, JD.
I don't trust them as a road favorite.
I don't like this coach, man. He's not a head coach, man. It's okay. He's back
at
his
great
alma mater.
Recruiter, Sean.
He could recruit guys perfect. Put him in as an offensive coordinator. He was a lineman. Put him. I don't know what to use him, man. He's not a head coach.
No.
Some guys aren't good head coaches.
No.
That's just the way it is.
Some guys are terrific recruiters.
Wade Phillips, great defensive guy.
What I think is if you're a terrific recruiter, you need to delegate properly. You need to have really good coaching staff around you. And I don't think that's the case with him. And I don't mean I don't know the whole situation, the inside info on Miami's coaching staff. But I could say this. What I've seen from Mario Cristobal, my experience with him is he's been a great recruiter. He was a great recruiter even at FIU. He won at FIU because he recruited so good. And when you recruit good at a small school like FIU in a non-major conference, you're going to win, okay? Then you go to Oregon where you have high expectations, and he recruited very well there too. Did they win? Yes, they won because they had a lot of talent, okay? Miami, I don't know what it's going to – is it Mario Cristobal or is it Miami? Is it the environment? Is it the culture? I don't know what it is, but they haven't returned to the glory days. and to try to copycat what they did back in the days when they had Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis and all those cast of characters. Create your own identity. You're in a hotbed, South Florida, Sean. It's a hotbed.
I'd love to go back to 80s and even 2000, 2001 Canes teams were great.
Yeah.
But the kids today don't even know who those guys are. They weren't alive. They don't know who those players are. They don't. Oh, this guy played football, Michael Irvin.
All right, Dan. Hey, Sean. Curious your thinking on KU and SI and ISU. I know you like to lay 3.5, take numbers like 6.5 or 2.5. Not always, but a lot. You taking KU plus 2.5?
I like IU here. IOU. What are they called? ISU.
Iowa State.
Iowa State. IU here. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of U's, a lot of letters all over the place here. I like Iowa State just because Kansas off an enormous win. It's just a bad spot. It's a bad spot. That's the way I look at it.
That's the only reason
Iowa
why.
State.
I think too much emphasis is being put on that.
But this is you got listen, Bean's in there. It's another okay. He's fine. It's backup quarterback. Kansas always has somebody's hurt, so it's a backup, but it's a guy with a lot of reps under his belt and starts and wins. I don't know. Iowa State can still score a little bit. They're not a terrible team.
Man, they lost to Ohio early in the year, Sean. Let's not.
But I was kind of a little high on Ohio there in the MAC. I thought them.
Well, you're a MAC guy to start with. Jesse,
so that's not a bad loss to me.
I don't like
Bobcats. The Ohio Bobcats.
Are you done or what?
Respect on that name.
Holy cow! Man.
The Ohio Bobcats. Say it.
Can't you mute him, Ross? You got a mute button, don't you?
Holy cow, my lord. Anyway, Sean, always a pleasure to work with you, my friend. Anyway, Jesse, I have a hard time taking a side that's getting 75% to 80% of the action on the money and volume of bets, like Iowa State is right now. So if you think you're coming up with a brainstorm that they're coming off the big win against Oklahoma and you're ahead of the curve, well, there's a lot of other people in the country, in the world right now, to think the same way as you. But what's your take on that game?
Actually, I was talking to Dan on Twitter last night about this game, and he opens up the conversation with, I know you're a big Kansas guy, he says. And granted, I was high on Kansas when everybody else wasn't, when everybody was doubting Kansas. And that's sort of my style. I felt that the two teams that fit the same sort of mold were Duke and Kansas, the two basketball schools that nobody believes could play football. And I think that they both had their moments this year, but the time to bet on them is sort of past. And yeah, I was a Kansas guy when nobody believed in them. I don't want to be the Kansas guy after they beat Oklahoma. Iowa State, though, the quarterback play, the offense struggles at times. I'm not loving the idea of backing Iowa State either. So it's just a stay away game for me. But
this game was 14-11 last year. Kansas won 14-11. The games before that, Iowa State put up 59, 52, 41, 27, 25.
Come on, Sean.
This is not a contest.
Why are you going back 2 years with Kansas? They're not the same team. Come on. You should know better to even bring that up.
It's the same
That's the
coach.
most ridiculous point you've ever made.
It's the same.
It is.
College hoops starting on Monday.
Ridiculous point.
It's the same coach, the same systems, the same nonsense.
Wait a minute. The same coach at Iowa State. The coach at Kansas right now, yes, he's been there a couple of years, but when he arrived, he inherited a 1-11 team.
Yeah, that's
and what have they done the last couple of years?
They've improved a little bit.
How could you compare what happened to?
I'm comparing.
Ago?
I just did.
Matchup for crying out loud.
We'll see.
Yeah,
something just came to me.
It's on Tuesday. Wait till Iowa State takes care of business.
Brock Purdy was the Iowa State quarterback 2 years ago. Anyway.
Something just came to me. There was a missed opportunity. Halloween just passed, and the opportunity was there. Sean should have went as King Kong Bundy for Halloween, and unfortunately, we didn't. That was an oversight on our part.
Oh my goodness, Sean, I love you.
Did the idea ever cross your mind, Sean?
I would be so bored if you weren't on the show.
Who is the big fat guy who coached Kansas back in the day?
Sean Higgs. No, yeah, he was a good coach.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an Italian guy. I can't think of his name. He was a real good coach. They won with him a lot. Geez, I can't think of his name.
And I'm not going back to Charlie. I'm not going Charlie Weiss years. I meant the guy before him back.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was obese. He wasn't fat. Charlie Weiss was heavy.
He was
And
pleasantly
this guy
plump.
was small, and he looked like the balloon at the Macy's Day Parade. Anyway, what are you guys' favorite futures? Super Bowl, college football, etc. It's a good question at the halfway point of the NFL season. Right now, I mean, in terms of college football,
Mike Mangino.
Mark Mangino. There we go. Yeah, he was a good one, man.
Al, good one, Al.
Yeah, he was a good one. Anyway, I don't know whatever happened to Mark Mangino. Mr. T, Peter Reese says. I don't know what that means. All right, good question, Torque. And I'm going to let Jesse, because he's been sitting there patiently listening to our nonsense for the last half hour. I'm going to let him talk for. What are you mad because I don't give you the first right to speak? Go ahead.
Well, Sean, you don't have to worry because I'm going to pass the torch.
Daddy,
I'm going to pass the torch right back to him.
I know he's not going to have anything to say on this.
Well, no, I usually play. I used to be really big into futures, but right now, where I'm at currently, I'm focused on turning around my current streak, and I haven't had the luxury to be looking at the futures. And I've been looking at college basketball futures and hockey futures. So I haven't really looked at anything. But yeah, I mean, let Sean tell us what he's got.
Right now in the NFL, I would say I'd be looking at, I mentioned the Ravens before. So I'd look at the Ravens, and maybe even if I want to throw a little dart at the board, I would take a shot on the Lions. Only cause, and I'm not a linebacker, you got the Cowboys and Eagles are going to kind of work themselves out. And I don't know exactly where the Niners are right now with their quarterback play. This could be a problem here. You know, his Purdy's health and just the league kind of catches up with him. He plays better teams that seem to be in dogfights. So maybe the Lions are for real. Again, I don't want to just come with a crazy fave, like say take Kansas City or whatever that may be. So I think the Ravens could be dangerous. And I'd say take the Lions. Again, I'm going to go outside the box. In college football, I think Michigan is the best team. Stealing signs or not, it's Michigan. You want to take a flyer? Oregon?
Well, I was going to say Oregon. Yeah, that would be my futures on Oregon as a one-loss team right now. That's, again, they got to run the board to get there, but I don't see any reason why they can't. Washington, to me, I think personally, everybody's on Washington this week. I'm telling you, they're going to have a tough time at USC. I just have that inclination.
Even Alabama.
Alabama had one loss. Yeah. Again, they haven't been overwhelming. We'll see. I mean, I can't see them beating Georgia right now. But there's some good teams in the SEC. We'll see how that shakes out. I like Oregon. I know I'm going to sound like a homer here, but if you want to take a flyer, I'd take it on the Buffalo Bills. I would.
This guy.
3 losses. I like what they did at the trade deadline. They lost Tre'Davious White. They picked
4 losses after Sunday.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I got bad news for you regarding Sunday's game.
Even if they lose Sunday, I've seen them start 5-5 2 years ago, and everybody was shutting them down, and they were 7-6 or whatever they were. They win their last 4 games, and they go to the AFC Championship game. So, I mean, it's still a good roster, guys. The bottom line, it's still a good roster. I'm saying a flyer. Okay. I mean, a flyer isn't on the Baltimore Ravens right now. A flyer isn't on the San Francisco 49ers right now. A flyer isn't on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. So, I mean, what's your flyer in the NFL, Sean?
I mean, you don't think taking
tell us something that nobody else knows. Nobody else is going to take. Nobody else is thinking of, or no, very few people are. Let me rephrase that. See, the genius is dumbfounded, Jesse. See, it doesn't take.
No, I'm trying to.
The Browns at 40-1.
Ohio State at plus 700. You know what? Those are good odds for a team that's sitting at 8-0 right now. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to beat Michigan. And unfortunately, as good as the receivers are, I'm not sold on their offense. And I just think Michigan in the Big Ten right now is playing too good on both sides of the ball. And Ohio State's had, they had the close call at Notre Dame. I mean, they're winning in workmanlike manner. I'm not going to criticize them, but at plus 700, yeah, I would consider that borderline flyer. All right. Arkansas plus 3.5 is surprising. Odds of bye week, better underdog roll. Give me Arkansas upset Florida. Dan, you're wrong. Okay. I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. And again, you're taking a public side. The line has moved from 5.5 to 3.5 in the last 24 hours. That lost its value. You're still taking a team that's lost 6 in a row. Yes, they've had some close calls. And here's my take on this, okay? Arkansas has lost 6 in a row. 5 of those losses have been by 7 points or fewer. Yeah. To me, when teams lose games in that manner, where they're losing close games, and finding a way to lose games, okay, that becomes a habit. That's the way I look at it. Florida's 4-0 at home. Yeah, they haven't played anybody, but they did beat Tennessee at home, number 19 team in the country. Arkansas also, Dan, look at their last 4 games offensively. A little, 250 yards a game of offense in the last 4? Anyway, you guys take on that Arkansas, Florida?
Good game to stay away from, but I'm the exact opposite. I've heard the strategy that you see this team coming in on a team, and then you want to be late to the party. Even if I felt that was the right call, even if I felt strongly that they were going to win outright, I'm not taking plus 3.5 if it was plus 5.5 24 hours ago. I'm just never going to do that because I'm late to the party. It's like you see something that's on sale, and then you go to buy it the next day, and it's the sale's over, and you got to pay full price. I'm not buying it. Just not buying it.
And again, for it to be coming down on a Thursday, this isn't everyday people betting it. This is guys money betting, guys who kind of know something.
I mean, look at Dan. I'll be the first one to say you're right on there. You know that. I'll give you full acknowledgement. But my take on that game is I have a very strong take on that game, and that's exactly what it is. You got more guts than me if you want take a team that's lost 6 in a row. And I'll tell you, I would like them if they lost 6 in a row, if 4 of those were by double digits. But when you're losing games in the manner in which they're losing them, and then your offense is all of a sudden came to a screeching halt. I mean, early in the year, at least they were putting up some good numbers offensively. And KJ Jefferson, I don't know what's going on with him. But in any event,
that's so their losses on the road: 3 at Alabama, 7 at Ole Miss, and 3 at LSU. The double-digit loss to one team, whoever they had.
They lost by 12. One other game.
They were winning. And the Mississippi game, they had a lead going into the fourth quarter. You look at the 7-3 loss. At that point, they're gassed, right? It's like
7-3 loss. They lose a game that they gave up 160 yards of total offense. Sean,
they had nothing left in the tank
because they only had 200 yards themselves.
Because they're done after losing close games. But now you got a week off. Listen, again, 5.5, 3.5, I don't know.
All right, so you horse players out there, El Dohar says you got 7 minutes, probably 5 minutes now. Bet because sorry, El, it's down to 4 minutes to post because we got to wait for Sean to get done talking. Bet the 4 horse
opportunity missed.
And Anita. All right, so good points. I'm going to still take Arkansas. Remember what you said and keep that in mind moving forward. Public wins every here and there. Yes, they do, Dan. You're absolutely correct.
I don't think that's a public play, though. That is not a public play.
It is a public play. It is a
public is not betting on a Thursday for Saturday college football. It's not happening. Right. That is not the public betting money to move it to.
Let me go to where I go to, okay, which is proven to be accurate for me over the years. And again, Sean, if you want to dispute that, that's fine. But when I go to that game, okay, go ahead. If you want to answer another question, go right ahead. I'm going to look it up right now.
Well, let me comment. I want to say I think it's important for Dan to stick with his pick. He says, I'm still going to play it. And I think that's part of the learning process, Dan. You don't let other people influence your opinions. If you're wrong, as Ross says you are, it's a learning experience. You learn from it. But it's important to make these mistakes or have these successes, whichever way it turns out. The best of luck to you. But I think it's important to you whatever you think you're seeing, roll with that. And then if you have to adjust because you feel you made a mistake, you can do that.
Yeah,
So,
you shouldn't be influenced by a guy who's hit 62% since December 2nd of last year in college
No,
football.
you
Anyway.
should be influenced, Ross. But if he's got his heart set on betting Arkansas, let him bet Arkansas.
You know what
And
I
if
like
he
about
loses,
Yeah.
if he loses, he can go back and say, I should have listened to Ross, right? Because, so he's going to be influenced by what you said if you're right.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Listen.
And
If
he's not influenced by what I have to say because I lose one game, that being one of them, then I don't know what to tell you. But you know what?
I mean, Ross, he wouldn't be watching if he wasn't interested in what you had to say.
The bottom line is what I was going to say is Dan. I'll give him credit that when he disagrees, especially with me, he's very respectful in the manner he does so. There's nothing wrong with us. Arkansas is getting 70% of the bets have been made on Arkansas, which is account for 80% of the money. Okay. So, Sean, I beg to differ. I think that people aren't high on Florida the same way we weren't high on Florida. People are seeing Arkansas. Yeah. I mean, they're always close. They're in games. They're losing, but they're in games.
I see my site has them as 69% of the handle, but Florida's got 69% of the bets. So to me, that's not mine. The average
you're talking you're talking to reverse. So we're looking at two different sites, sir. Yeah.
My site here has Florida at 80% of the handles and 80% of the bets.
Yeah, that's
90%
totally different than what I'm seeing. So I'm basing it on what I use. You're basing it on what you use. And I bet.
And that's why I tell people, forget about these splits because the sites, Arkansas plus 3.5 is getting 69% of the handle.
Look, if
Florida is getting 69% of the money.
If you're looking at splits, you better be looking at splits you've looked at with a large sample size over a few years and determined there's some validity to what that says. Okay.
Again, Ross,
and again,
it's not
automatic, Sean.
I know.
Okay?
Oh, no, I agree with you. That's why I don't even consider them because sports betting is legal in all these states now. So I got a bunch of wacko people.
All right, Dan, I'm at 61%. Now, Dan, now I'm going to tell you, okay? I've been listening to you for a while now, and I got a lot of respect for you. 61%. How do we know that, Dan? Where are you documented at? Okay? Are you on several sites? I know you keep trying to put yourself in the same barrel as us, and I get that, and it's okay. And I think you do know what you're talking about. But where are you documented at 61%? You want to know where I'm documented? I'll give you 5 different sites within a win or loss percentage, and the same goes for Jesse and Sean. All right, so come on, enough. All right.
I just think the splits are out the window. I can't take them serious because I got some guy who works for Google who's pouring money on whatever school because he's an alum. You know what I'm saying? Like that does not mean anything to me. Yeah. That some wacko who's got cash could go in and put a bunch of money on a game.
We all, there's different ways. I don't want to use the term different ways to skin a cat because that's offensive, but there's different ways to get to your winning bets.
They don't understand what you're saying, Ross, so it's okay.
Yeah. All right. I've got my jug trying to fill it with information for you guys flowing like a water fountain. Thank you.
You got to get yourself more jugs. Stop, Gio.
All right. Thanks, Gio. We really, really appreciate it. And Dan, don't take what I say personally. I'm just telling you, buddy. You make claims like you're hitting 61%. You sound like every other person that comments. You want to make a name for yourself. Get yourself a website because I think you're totally capable. Okay.
At least Dan puts his picks in now. It's one thing coming in after the fact saying, I knew they were going to win.
I get that.
He comes in and says, I like this way. And
but anybody could say they're 61%, Sean. If there's no way to document it, it doesn't hold water.
I think he does give out his picks every week on YouTube. So if you wanted to scroll through his channel and add them up, you could.
Again,
it's not quite the same as being documented on a site.
Yeah,
and Dan, that's why you do need to get on a site because nobody wants to go through your YouTube.
Again, buddy, you rest your case because it's on your YouTube channel. Okay.
And me and Jesse are sticking up for you, Dan.
I'm not telling you what you're saying. I am saying
even Ross is sticking up for him. He just wants to give him help.
People to take you seriously. You got to do more than say, well, go back all my archives on the YouTube channel. Come on, buddy. Please. If you were that
You got to
good,
start somewhere, though, Ross. You got to start somewhere.
I get that. You know what I mean? I get that. There's no two ways about it. But the bottom line is I get sick of people saying I could hit 50. I'm hitting 50. I'm hitting 65%. Where can I find that? Where's the documentation? Is it more than one place?
Well, at least he's not saying he's hitting 80%.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm glad for that. Anyway, Dan, I like you. I respect you. But if you want to get my goad, that's the way to get it. All right. And there's several ways.
Don't get his goad because then he might have to skin a cat.
Yeah, exactly. Would you love to see picks from Dave?
Oh my God! Gee, are you kidding me? You think Ross is losing his top gear with his blood pressure for this old guy? He would have lasted on
No, but you know what? I think him and Dave could do a show no problem.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
The Saturday football show, just forget about it.
Yeah. All right. We have already discussed
Jacksonville
that.
State.
And you know what? I appreciate you even bringing that up. And I appreciate my two cohorts here sticking up for me as well. Jacksonville State. Well, look, Jacksonville State to me is a legitimate look.
Yeah, I'm shocked they're this good. I thought I was kind of high at Sam Houston as opposed to Jacksonville State. So,
well, Jacksonville State, this is their college football playoff right here because, like James Madison, they can't go to a bowl game. They're 7-2. Yep. Yes, it's against inferior competition. Yes, there's a big difference. We know how good the SEC is, so SEC fans don't have to come out of the woodwork to tell us how good your conference is. All right. The bottom line is this: South Carolina
has no defense.
Playing Jacksonville State in the heart of their SEC schedule, not in game 1, game 2, where they're fine-tuning everything and they want to get off to a good start to the season. Secondly, it's not like South Carolina's tearing it up. They've been losing. They're 2-6 on the year. I don't know how. Can we go out on a limb and say that how motivated could South Carolina be at 2-6 playing Jacksonville State? Okay, playing their first season of FBS ball. I mean, that's the point I would make there. Why I'm not saying I'm calling for an outright upset. I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility to take a serious look at Jacksonville State. Why are they only plus 15.5? Why is the first-year FBS team going on the road at an SES school and only plus 15.5? Any take on that, boys?
Jacksonville State gives me fits because I bet against them a few times and been burned. The Middle Tennessee one was a real stinger because I think Middle Tennessee was up double digits at halftime and then they just collapsed in the second half. I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet for that Jacksonville State team. Don't want to have anything to do with them.
And like I want to take the 15, but it's South Carolina thinking, hey, we got Vandy up next. UK, they have 4 straight home games here for South Carolina, so maybe they're thinking maybe we can get to a bowl at 6-7. 6 wins, get the bowl game.
I mean, that's a good point because,
but that doesn't mean they cover the spread, though. That doesn't mean they cover the spread.
They could win this game by 7 too.
Yeah,
right? You can win it by 14. It's
have they found the defense yet?
Yeah. My point, though, Sean and Jesse, is that it's not that I think that on paper Jacksonville State is the better team or the more talented team. That would be absurd for me to make that claim. Again, we talk about situations. We talk about betting situational spots. And I just think it's a bad spot for a team that's been struggling to win. And even though they need to win out to be eligible for a bowl game, I think their aspirations before the season started was not to have to beat Jacksonville State to stay alive for a bowl game, at 2-6, game 9 of the season. Again, if this was week 1 or 2, I would say, you know what, South Carolina, the cream will rise to the top. Zero bad energy, man. Appreciate your insight. Happy to be here, Ross. I appreciate you, Dan. And don't take it personal with me. I yell at Sean all the time. And we're good friends, so it's got nothing to do with it.
He freaking has me dress up, Dan. So please, at least you could sit home and have to put a nice shirt on for the guy when you talk to him.
Exactly. Love the passion, Ross. Peter Reyes. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate that. It's all in fun, guys. You know what I mean? If you're not passionate about what you do, then you need to find another line of work. Now, everybody doesn't have to act like me. You could act like Sean. He's passionate when he talks. He might not raise his voice, but he's very opinionated. Jesse, when he has a point to make, he makes it, and he makes it very eloquently. But he does it. I know for a fact, because I've been working with Jesse now for over a year, that he takes what he does very seriously. And I value his opinions. So there's different ways to display passion. And when you're in this industry and this is all you do for a living, there's no other source of income, you better be passionate, because you won't survive. All right. Yeah. Love you guys. You are the best.
Thanks,
Torque, thank you. And that was a great question you asked, sir. Loving area. We already touched upon that. Dan's Rants. We already touched upon that.
Smash the like button, because we're an hour. Right. Good day, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. All right. Listen, you've been listening to all our rants, right? Dan's Rants. How appropriate. Does any of you out there have any rants when it comes to the world of sports betting, as it applies to what's going on currently, what you may have saw? And, if you want to touch upon something that really bothers you in the world of sports in general, we can discuss that too. I'd rather we keep it to sports betting. We do have 3 NFL picks we're going to discuss. Believe it or not, we haven't got to that yet. Jesse, I'm going to start with you, because I'm looking forward to what you have to say here. The Bills and the Bengals. And you already pretty much showed your hand. Cincinnati -2 and 50.5. What's your take, buddy?
Yeah, it was only a couple weeks ago now that the Buffalo Bills secondary made Mac Jones look like Tom Brady. Jones threw for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns on 25 of 30 passing. The Bills got some injury issues in their secondary. Josh Allen, home-away splits, pretty concerning. At home, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks, 75% passing. On the road, though, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, 66% passing. I was all in betting against the Bengals early in the year when Burrow had the calf injury. I big bet on with the Browns in week 1. I know Ross was joining me there. But as time goes on, that calf's gotten better. And the last time I saw Joe Burrow, he looked pretty good, throwing for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns on 28 of 32 passing. I don't know what the percentage is on that, but it's pretty high. I think Burrow might be back. We already touched upon the star-studded receiving core of the Bengals. Bengals at home. Bills just don't look that good on the road. I think Josh Allen misses his offensive coordinator. And I just don't like the way the Bills look here. It looks like 2 teams trending in the opposite direction. Give me Cincinnati on the money line to win outright at home.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, again, my only question to you, Sean, is why is Cincinnati only a 2-point favorite? I was sort of shocked, but I saw it go up to 3.5 earlier this week, and it came back down to 2. I think some of that had to do with the status of Josh Allen. It wasn't certainly not money related because of his shoulder injury. And Jesse makes all good points. I mean, if you look at last year's AFC divisional round game, Burrow torched the Bills. Their wide receivers torched the Bills. And that's when the Bills had Tre'Davious White. And now, again, their secondary is healthier than they were against New England. Plus, they pick up Rasul Douglas. I don't know if he's going to make an immediate impact, if he's going to play at all this week. But it's a good point. And Cincinnati looked awful darn good last week against a pretty good defense in San Francisco. What's your take, Sean?
My take is that 28 of 32 is 87.5% completion percentage for against the Niners. Yeah, I mean, it's Cincinnati.
It's incredible.
Listen, I do the Look At Line show. You talked about me getting Tennessee. Well, I have Cincinnati plus 1.5. So how am I looking?
Yeah.
No doubt here. Cincinnati's rounding into shape. Burrow's looking good. Bills, we've talked about the Bills multiple times here. They are what they are. I'm going to take the home team here. Cincy, they again, not that it's Iowa State and Kansas, but they know how to play this defense and put the points up on the board. So give me the Bengals at home with Justin.
A lot of, and an interesting side note, Damar Hamlin returns to the site where he almost lost his life last year. It was a very emotional scene.
Well, we don't have to worry about it. He hasn't played all year. Everybody's running. He's going to be comeback player of the year. Yeah, okay. They're so depleted on defense. He doesn't even suit up everybody. That's not good.
The guy was 1 minute away from death, and we got to hear this now, Sean.
We're all 1 minute away from death. We're all, some closer than other, depending on our age.
You keep talking. You're 30 seconds away from death. Anyway,
we're all close to death. That's why you just be happy. You're
yeah. I can't. I'm not going to make a case against Jesse. And if anything, I would lean toward the over in this game. It was 48.5. It's now up to 50.5. Lost a little bit of its value. Be hard to imagine that Buffalo is going to really put a stop to. The only thing I would think that Buffalo needs to do in this game is continue. They've been very good at pressuring the passer this year. And if Cincinnati has a liability, it's their offensive line protection and protecting Burrow. But by the same token, the kid, that game he played last week was just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. That's why he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. Okay, Sean, big battle in the NFC East. The Cowboys, your Cowboys.
Yes.
At the Philadelphia Eagles. Jim Quinn's Philadelphia Eagles. Watch out.
I know. I won't be on the show next week after I take the Cowboys here. And the
Eagles are a 3-point favorite. The total's 47. And again, I look at this the same way. Eagles only a 3-point favorite at home. But again, you look at how the Eagles have been playing. They've had a couple good moments this year, but they've also escaped on several occasions. So go ahead, Sean.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm taking Dallas here. And you mentioned Eagles all season. Where has their great dominant, we're clicking on all stuff, it has not come. And that says something about how good the Eagles are because they keep kind of winning. And as much as, again, we'll go to Arkansas and not being able to win a close game, here are the Phillies, the filthy Philadelphians. They find ways to win by not playing their best ball. But I'm taking Dallas. Give me the points. It looks like finally the offense for Dallas is getting into the system of their new coordinator, right? It's taken them a bit. We saw early in the year, it's like, well, how good's Dallas? They haven't scored it all. It's all defense. And that could be the difference maker here because Dallas defense, they kind of come to play in prime time. You know, they kind of show up here. So give me Dallas in the head-to-head. All Dallas lately. I'm taking the Cowboys. Take the 3. You want to do a little money line? I understand. But this could be a close game. But I think Dallas is going to win, and I think win comfortably, honestly. I think there's going to be a nice 34-23 kind of Dallas win.
Okay, so Sean emphatically likes
my bias will show there for my home team as much as you like your
but
Bills. I'll go with my Cowboys.
I've also heard you go against Dallas. Okay,
Yes.
I use the Bills as a flyer on a future. I didn't disagree with you guys on the Cincinnati pick. So anyway, Sean likes the Cowboys plus.
That's you're a good fan. Like Jesse says all the time, when you could bet on a team one week, go against them the next. If it's a team you like, you could bet them or bet against them. So that's what you have to.
Well, they're not a good fan. I wouldn't call it a good fan. I would call it a professional handicapper.
I guess.
And I will point out that that's not as easy to do as it sounds. That's actually pretty tough to do. It is. If you really analyze it.
It is, and it's the reason why I don't bet on them. That's
why you got to separate it
because it's hard to decipher whether you're doing it with emotion or not. So I tend to stay away from Buffalo games for that.
As a Yankee fan, I say Derek Jeter's the most overrated player in baseball history. How's that?
Okay,
guys, Omar Vizquel with a Yankee hat. That's all he is.
Where does Sean come up with this crap? Like out of nowhere.
I just want to see if we get the comments rolling on.
I'm sitting here waiting to give my take on Dallas versus Philly, and Sean's talking about Derek freaking Jeter.
Your son called me a second version of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan says things that stir controversy. I think he's got the wrong guy as the Joe Rogan protege. Anyway. But
nobody cares what I think about Dallas and Philadelphia, apparently.
I do.
Good.
Okay, I'm not a Dak guy, but I got some Dak stats. Last year, these two teams split.
Does Dak mean something in the language?
Dak means ass in Thai, where I live. In my wife's language, in my kids' native language, Dak means ass. And I kind of think Dak, a lot of the time, is ass. But he's been playing pretty good against the Eagles, 8-3 straight up in his career versus the Eagles. These teams split last year, but it was Cooper Rush playing for the Cowboys when they lost to the Eagles.
Yes.
As much as I don't like Dak, he had a great game last week. I like the Cowboys coming in here. The Eagles with the Super Bowl hangover they have yet to really suffer that Super Bowl hangover. It's coming this week.
All right, smash that like button. We'll get to that, my man. Tom's a good man. Mar, how much more low of a total can you see in the Iowa Northwestern? 30.5. I don't recall total being that low, and then the other one, Air Force and Army, that was 31.5, went up to 32.5. But be careful there, because if you look at the battles between service academies over the last, 7 years or so, Sean, is when all those unders have occurred. Yeah. I think the majority of games have gone under.
Huge under run.
How much lower can it get? I don't think it'll go much lower than that. And probably, if anything, will come up to 31 or 31.5.
What about the over when I see that?
Because somebody is going to say, you know what, this can go over by accident. You can get a couple defensive touchdowns in this game. Northwestern has shown some life offensively, especially in last week's upset win over Maryland. So we'll see. I mean, but it's a good question, a good point to bring up. Dallas is going to beat Philly. The truth. There you go. Cowboy Cooley. Hey, guys, do you all like Oklahoma State against Oklahoma? I don't. I'm not using it as a premium play, but I don't. Go ahead, guys.
I like Oklahoma State because Oklahoma has some key offensive players questionable. I think their leading rusher, one of their leading receivers, is questionable. I didn't like the way they looked at Kansas. It is the last bedlam. I looked at the weather report. It looks like it's going to be not that great of conditions, a little winter weather in Oklahoma there, in Stillwater, I guess it's going to be at. And, I mean, I could get 6 points, the final edition. You got the mullet. I kind of think Oklahoma is overrated, so I'll take the points there.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, to me, has got to score 40 or more to cover this game. I don't see them stopping Oklahoma. That's my take. They lost last week.
They give up a bunch of points to Kansas, though.
Well, they did. That's what I'm saying. It's not out of the realm of possibility, okay? But I don't think it. Look, the bottom line is I think it'll be a high-scoring game regardless of the conditions. I think Oklahoma's got more offensive weapons. This is the same Oklahoma State team. I know they've been hot lately, but let's not lose sight of the fact this is the same team that got blown out at home against South Alabama earlier this year. I think that a lot of people are going. Here's the thing, too. You talk about motivation. We talked about South Carolina. If they went out, they go to a bowl game. Well, think about this, guys. Oklahoma, even though they lost to Kansas last week, they only got one loss. Okay? If they went out during the college football playoff, there's no two ways about it. You're not going to be able to leave out the Big 12 champion with one loss. So they still have a lot to play for. This isn't like they lost the game last week in heartbreaking fashion to kill their national title aspirations. So granted, Oklahoma State's playing real well right now. There's no two ways about it. Jesse makes a case that they might be a tad bit overrated. I can't disagree with that. But I just don't see Oklahoma State being able to stop them. If you look at their defensive numbers, even during this win streak, they're giving up around 430 yards per game against a lot less potent offenses that they're going to face on Saturday. So when I say
another thing I want to point out is their big win over Texas. Texas comes out, turns the ball over in the first minute of the game, interception, sets them up for points. Texas was terrible in the first quarter of that game. And then Texas comes and they're winning the game with a minute and a half left, and Oklahoma scores late to sort of steal that game. So sort of a their big signature win is a little bit dubious to me. Just wanted to point that out.
Who's Oklahoma State's signature win? I mean, they're only a 6-point dog.
But you're not laying.
But they're at home. They're getting the 6 points. I'm gonna after the show. I'm gonna put Mike Gundy tapes on and watch him say, "I'm a man. I'm 40."
I'm not saying that Oklahoma State won't cover. Okay,
totally different team with their new quarterback.
But I'm
they came out of the bye week. Totally
if they're going to cover, they're going to have to score 40 minimum. Okay, that's my take on that. We'll see. No way.
Oklahoma gives up points like Halloween, giving out Halloween
offense. I'm telling you right now.
Oklahoma could be on a 3-game losing streak between Texas, UCF, and Kansas games.
Yeah, but they're not. Okay, they're not. I mean, UCF, they caught
Well,
UCF
I identify
after a
losses.
Texas
That's
game.
it. You have to respect my pronouns. They're really losses.
All right.
How about that?
Watching on my
Look at
TV.
this guy. Hello, sneaky Nick.
What I wanted is really, he's showing them. Look at it, man. We would do that with Jesse Schule, but he would just show his arms because we don't want to show his stomach.
I'm gonna cast this to my TV over here so I can just get this buff chest in front of me here.
Yeah, Sean hasn't had abs like that since he was 7 days old.
He needs a little color. Is he a redhead? Can you go outside and get a tan? Because you're blinding me.
So thank you, buddy. I appreciate you tuning in.
It's like a mayonnaise jar. Not that he's
that's right.
Like
I mean, 14% of our viewers watch on smart TV. So that's
a blinding body of whiteness. Get some color already. Get some sun. Go to a tanning spot there, fella.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Listen to the beach whale himself over there. Love the show.
Oh, beach whale. Look at Ross throwing haymakers right now.
Yeah. What do you think about the over under 50? I love you, buddy. What do you think about the over under 52.5 in Texas A&M and Ole Miss?
I got this, Ross. I got this.
Okay, go ahead. Take it away.
So 52.5. I mean, that's a pretty low total for a game involving Ole Miss. But a wise man once told me, you see a number like that, it's low for a reason. The bookmakers are trying to tell you something. Take the under.
Yeah, wise man might be me. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it was you, Ross. It was you.
I appreciate that. I'm going to take.
Yes.
You don't have.
He's one of the three wise men when Jesus
send you
born, this guy.
for Christmas, so you could put them on your forehead every time you make a good point, or you tell me and Sean, "Oh, let's talk about that game that we talked about last week." And you do like that play, and lo and behold, who won? I did.
Hey.
A. He hit him with an A. Canadian A.
I went through the process. Anyway.
They won, eh?
I love Canadian people, man. I do. I know one guy got offended. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't pronounce it process. Well, you guys got a different dialect, and I'm sure you feel the same way about us to the south of you. And I grew up 60 miles from the Canadian border. So, I mean, I've been around Canadians a lot more than the average bear in the States, and had nothing but good experiences. I think the Canadian, especially Canadian men, and nothing against Canadian women by any stretch, but Canadian men have that dry sense of humor that just it appeals to my senses. So, in any event, that's why I love Jesse. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the show. If he was from South Carolina, he would be on Dan's Rants.
You're just giving it to Dan today, aren't you?
Oh my God, Ross!
Yeah,
bringing it today.
Yeah. Anyway, I like Dan. Dan, you're my pick-on guy today, and he's got broad shoulders, Dan, and he's always respectful, man. I like Dan a lot. Let me make that clear. Evan Graham loved the show. This is the same question, so. Let me get to, let's see, what do we cover? We need to cover my game, the Chargers and the Jets, Monday night, 8:15 Eastern time. The Chargers right now, 3.5-point favorite on the road with the total of 40. And I'm going to give you, again, Jesse, you know where I'm going with this. We got a team in the New York Jets that's won 3 games in a row. They're now 4-3. They have a winning record. They're better than a field goal underdog at home against a team that's 3-4 on the season. They're giving you the winner here. They're giving you the winner. They're giving it to you. Take it. So it's a unique, and this is also a unique betting situation. This has only occurred 9 times. This is from my database. All right. Say what you will, but it's not trends. It's betting angles. It's all teams in specific situations and how they do in those situations. This situation has only come up 9 times since 1984. Anytime you have an NFL away favorite with a losing record like the Chargers have, and they're playing after Game 7 of the season, both teams are playing Game 8, and they're coming off a straight-up and ATS win in which they covered by 7.5 or more. They beat Chicago last week 30-13 as a 9.5-point favorite. They covered by 7.5. And they're facing a team with a winning record like the Jets have. 9-0 straight up in ATS since 1984, winning by 10.8 points per game. That's just part of my process and evidence sheet that Jesse refers to, and I say that very respectfully. because that's the same thing I do. If you look at my handicapping sheets, it's all broken down, and you have to have a line of things that all line up. And I think you do the same thing, Jesse. We might do it in a different fashion, but same thing. I'm going to take the Chargers here, Sean. I'm going to lay the 3.5 at the Jets.
My process is a little bit different for this one. There's one thing that's leaning really heavily, and that's the Jets' offensive line, because it looks like their entire offensive line is listed as questionable, and that's a pretty big issue. So I'm with you, Ross. I think it's Chargers on this one.
And some will say the Jets' offensive line was questionable even before the season began. So, anyway, Sean.
Is that how they lost their quarterback after 4 plays?
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking at my betting sheet, and this is all I got.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it here. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, I see. Boy. Give it to me, buddy. Give it back to me. I don't blame you. Anyway,
Jets outright. That's it.
Jets outright. Okay.
How
I'm on the Chargers.
Laying points with the Chargers. Is that a joke?
Yeah.
Somehow they managed to finally win by more than a touchdown against the Bears team that's should be regulated.
The only advantage I see here with the Jets is their defense.
Relegated, Sean. Relegated.
Much better. They're winning with smoke and mirrors.
Jets win this game.
Chargers come on, Sean. The Chargers have vastly underachieved to this point.
Yeah, every year
that offense is
it's the
still
same
pretty
thing
good
every year with this coach.
I get that. But again, I ask you this: why is the Chargers better than a touchdown field goal on the road with everything you just said, with a losing record against a team with a winning record?
They have more talent. Again, you saw them on Sunday. This line was 1.5 before they go and beat the Bears. The Jets should not have won. I mean, that game was.
Yeah.
They were losing 10-7, whatever that. Come on.
Yeah.
Of course, this line was going to be a field goal. I'm shocked it's not 5. To be honest with you, people the Jets are terrible.
It was actually 2.5, I believe, up until yesterday. And it moved to 3.5. I think a lot of that has to do with what Jesse just pointed out with the questions on the Jets' offensive line in terms of availability. But again, to Sean's point, Jesse, the Chargers sometimes could make the worst of offenses look pretty good.
Well, that's why I mentioned the offensive line, because if the Jets' offensive line was healthy, I'd sort of be thinking along the same lines as Sean is. I've been the guy that's been betting the Chargers every week and getting kind of screwed by them. And now to bet them as a road favorite, I might be hesitant. But if the Jets are bad enough at the best of times, and if that offensive line, if they're missing 2 or 3 starters on the O-line, you can't back the Jets.
And they were extremely lucky to beat the Giants last week. If you watch the end of that game, Graham Gano misses a field goal that he makes 98% of the time with 26 seconds to go. And Zach Wilson, did virtually nothing.
Go ahead. Real fast with the Jets team. They pulled out the win opening day, right? Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Reality strikes against Cowboys. All hell breaks loose. They lose that one. The New England game, they were right in that New England game, 15-10. Kansas City, 23-20.
Should have won.
Denver, they win. Yeah. Philly, they win. The Giants. So this team, people are like, they're terrible, but yet they could really have just maybe 1 or 2 losses on their schedule.
And imagine if Rodgers was there, because what is it, Bryce Hall?
Bryce Hall, the running back.
Bryce Hall is a very good running back. Wilson's a very good wide receiver. Their defense is top notch. Okay, you would say what you will about the Jets. When they do give up yards, it's because they're so worn out in the second half because their offense can't sustain drives.
And let's be honest, even with Aaron Rodgers there, you start Buffalo, at Dallas, New England, KC. That's a tough little schedule. I don't care who the quarterback is. A lot of teams are going to have trouble.
They came out of that 2-2, I believe, right? The first 4.
1-3 they were, because they lost.
1-3. Okay.
They lost. I don't think that's bad against that schedule.
And they should have beat Kansas City. They should have beat Kansas City in that game. They had that game.
Beat New England in that game too. Let's be honest.
New England. I think looking back, if they don't make the postseason, and they're, for example, if they come, I'm not saying they're going to be right on the cusp of the postseason at the end, but if they are and they miss out by a game or a tiebreaker, I think they're going to look back on that New England game and be very sorry that that's one they let slip away, because that's a very winnable game. All right, guys. Well, a friendly reminder over at gamblersworld.net. Again, it's our football flash sale up until 8 p.m. Eastern time today. For those of you who are new to watching us, you'll find all three of us over at gamblersworld.net, along with 7 other great handicappers. That sale, what it encompasses is if you buy a single game pick from any one of us today, you will get a $10 credit to your account that you can use toward any future purchase, no matter who you use it on. And not only that, whoever you buy from today, that individual has to win for you. If they don't, we will credit back your account the exact amount of that purchase price. And that goes every day with our guarantee. All single game and multi-game daily packages and all subscription plans of 30 days are guaranteed. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit you back the exact amount of money you paid for that specific package. So, and you could use that. If you lost with me, you could use it on Jesse and Sean, vice versa. If you want to use the same handicapper, it's totally up to you. Okay, folks. So any questions, there's a contact form on our page. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. If you're new to the show and you have not subscribed yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, or let me enlighten you. Okay, there's a WC button right there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And it says that's, if you click on that, and that's if you're on your PC, that will get you subscribed. Again, absolutely free. And if you're on your smart TV or you're on your mobile device, you'll see a black subscribe button underneath the video box, and you just click on that. That will get you subscribed. And then I'm going to ask you to take an additional 10 seconds, go into your YouTube settings. You'll see an alert notification bell. Click on that for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, and you'll be alerted immediately upon any of our future podcasts going up on our channel. Thank you again, folks. All right, Jesse, before we go, tell the folks a little bit about what you got coming up this weekend and why they should spend their hard-earned money on you.
CFL playoffs, Premier League soccer we got going on Saturday. And, we had a guest in the show mention that he's hitting 61%. He's pretty happy about it, and he should be. I've been bitching and moaning about underachieving this year. I checked my record at my own site, 62% for the season with college football. I'm not happy with it. I want to get it up 3 or 4% by the end of this Saturday. That's what I plan to do, and I welcome you to join me.
Yeah, sometimes we lose sight of the fact during when we run into a rough patch like you did last week that you are doing very good still in a specific sport. Jesse's like, we're all the same way, folks. We turn the page the next day. You can't dwell on losing days, but it wears on you when you're losing. You have a few losing days in a row, or you have a bad week. It wears on you because this is what you do for a livelihood. And we talked about passion before. We're all passionate in some way, shape, or form, or we wouldn't be doing this on an everyday basis. And there's a competitive fire that builds within all of us. We all squeeze for each other to win, but there's that competitive fire within ourselves where we know we're pros and we're supposed to win. And we put a lot of onus of pressure on ourselves. And that's what makes us better on a daily basis. Sean, you've been red hot, buddy. And you've been knocking them dead in all sports right now. Number 2 on, I think, the 7-day board, the 30-day board. I'm not sure the 60-day board. I can't recollect that right now, but I know you've been doing very well of late. And why folks should spend money with you right now is obvious, but I'll let you tell the folks instead of me.
Yeah, hitting pretty well. Although percentage-wise, I'm not Jesse-esque. I'm about 55%. A lot more games I come out, but we're making money. You want to win? I don't know. Win's a win. I'll take it. I don't care if it's a 6-4 day or 5-4 as they add up. So college football's been good. NFL's been good. NBA, which again I kind of pick and choose spots, but I found a couple early. I'm off to a nice start. Monday college hoops, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
To that kind of stuff. I got some packages up for college football Saturday. NFL will be added later today. I mean, I have the picture up. I just got to add the packages there, and that's that. I mean, I'm
A
not
lot of games on Monday, Sean.
Yeah.
What do you foresee as far as how many games you release? I mean, I'm sure you had an early look at the lines.
I look at I see a lot of totals I kind of like, which I usually I don't know I hate it because I'm at about like 25. I want to get down to about a dozen.
Yeah. All right.
Like
So there you go.
I want to come firing like that, but it's as crazy as it sounds, right? I'm gonna have say 16 games.
Okay.
It would be nice to go 13-3.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for like a 8-7. Like if I'm just in the mix of a game or two under, a game or two over, at least I know my numbers are right. Like I'm right there with them. Like I know it's where people don't look at that. Like, what do you mean 500? Well, with nothing to go on as opposed to just some practice games and reading reviews like everybody else gets. I'm not on the ground at all these arenas, so I don't mind coming out at a 500 clip in any sport for that matter, because you don't know until you see the action.
Well, I mean, case in point is you were hovering around 500 in both college football and the NFL, and look what's happened over the last few weeks. So,
yeah,
I mean, if the worst you're going to do is 500, folks, over a 4 or 5 week period of time, then all of a sudden the guy catches fire that you're paying for, you're going to make a lot of money.
I have to say, November, December college hoops, I usually do pretty good. I'm usually in that high 50s to like 61% kind of range, because I think the lines are a little off because there's so many games. And the books, let's be honest, it's NFL college football. That's what they kind of concentrate on. Even probably NBA and kind of props there. College hoops is not a lot of – it's kind of a little bit down the wire people like to bet on. So just hoping for a nice fast start. I'll take it. But again, it's one day at a time. I'll see. If I like it, we're going to move it.
Sean Higgs. Again, folks, Sean is number 3 on the 7-day board with a 16-9 record. Number 2 on the 30-day board. Number 3 on the 60-day board. And that's it. But myself, I might as well blow my own horn. Over the last 60 days, number 1 at the site with an 89-62 record, good for 59%. And also, since the site's inception, number 1, 143 and 109, 57%. And I think Sean will tell you as a volume player, if you hit 57% over 252 plays, and you don't lay a lot of juice with any of your selections, you're going to make a lot of money. So not only that, folks.
Even if you're a selective player, 57% is not bad here, folks. Don't make it seem like people think like they should be hitting like 65%.
No, it's
you and
not.
Jesse are already upper atmosphere. You're over 65%. We're 64.
Lost last night in the NFL, 23-14 still since week 2, which is still pretty good. NFL college football combined for 51-30 since September 14th. That's 63%. And then in all sports, since August the 4th, 125-83. That's 60%. And since September the 12th, 83-50, 62%. So why should you spend your hard-earned money on me? That's the reason why, folks. And those of you out there, and this goes, and I'm saying this for Sean, and I'm saying this for Jesse, those of you wise guys out there, and I say wise guys not because you're a sharp sports bettor, because you're a smart ass that say, I'll never pay a sports handicapper. Well, who are you penalizing, us or you? Because we're making money. If nobody buys anything from us, we're still making money. So, we're trying to spread the wealth around here, folks. And if we make a lot of money when we're winning, and that enables us to bet more, it adds to our gambling bankroll. It pays the bills in the house. But why, if we're winning and we're hitting at the rates we're talking about, and you're telling me you're criticizing free picks when they lose, and you're not dabbling into pay picks, and you're saying I'll never pay anybody, well, that's good. You will pay somebody. You're paying your sports book. All right, Jesse, there's a like button right underneath.
Smash that like button.
All right, smash that like button, folks. As you can see, that's passion, man. Smash that like button, and you can even touch it. It doesn't matter. It would make guys like me and Sean very happy, as you could see, because we weren't happy throughout the show. But now we're happy. The show's over. I love Sean. If I was close to him, I'd kiss him right on the freaking forehead, because He's
my
a
big
peach.
sweaty
He puts
forehead.
up with me. He takes all the
Big sweaty
rants.
forehead.
Yeah.
Hurry
And,
up! I
my
might have
Canadian buddy that lives in Thailand, love you too, brother.
I might have to start eating
Right.
my mouse if we don't wrap this up pretty soon. It's been an
All
hour
right.
since I've eaten.
Oh, okay. Just for that, let's go to a couple more questions.
Yeah, the last
No,
comment.
no,
Last
no.
one.
Stay away from the chat, Ross.
The last
Do
comment.
not look-
Last comment.
Do not look at the chat.
Steph,
Don't
Steph
look.
Override.
Don't,
Put that last comment up.
don't tell him. Don't
The
tell
same
him.
one. The same
No,
comment
don't
from an
look
hour
at it.
ago.
I don't know.
Don't look at it.
Wait.
We gotta go, Ross. We gotta wrap it up.
Seth, override this. Get in here and hit the button.
Yeah,
Hit the
yeah.
last comment.
Close it up before Ross blows his gasket.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Dan, I could see your monitor
come on.
plays
Let's
on
hit it.
about
Hit the
7
$1
different
comment.
sports sites. Give me a break. Anyway, Dan, I love you too.
Hit the out comment.
Even though, buddy, you got a long way to go in an uphill climb. In any event,
Seth,
for the
come on, we
next
need
time,
Seth.
for Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule,
No, not
take
for
care
me.
and God
Not
bless,
over.
folks.
No, hit it.